What's up YouTube? It's Big Dev and we're back again with another MLB The Show 24 guide video. Today I'm going to teach you guys how to pitch the baseball, an imperative feature in MLB The Show. You have to know how to pitch to be good at the game. A lot of people like to focus on hitting, but you also have to be a good pitcher. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, first things first, as I always say, you're only going to get good at pitching, same with hitting, is if you have reps, just reps. Getting into the game, playing the game, using the pitcher interface that you want to use, whether it be analog or pinpoint, whichever you use, we're gonna have to get in the game and just put in reps. Either online, offline, custom practice, whatever, you're gonna have to put in reps, especially with the new pinpoint, the way the sinker is now. The sinker is a meta pitch, and if you wanna learn the sinker, it's only gonna come from putting in reps. So practice, practice, practice is the key. Now, with that being said, I'm gonna take you into custom practice real quick, show you guys some tips on how I pitch the baseball, how you can pitch the baseball. We're gonna show you analog pitching and we're gonna show you pinpoint pitching. After that, we're gonna go into a live game. Yes, I'm gonna take you into a live game. I'm gonna play events and I'm gonna tell you what goes through my head when I'm pitching to the batter at the plate. Now, a big thing is pitching is that it's a mind game. It's a big mind game. So the batter is thinking one thing, you're gonna have to make him think another thing, throw the correct pitches at the correct time, and just play games with the hitter, okay? So, you know, if you're anticipating they're anticipating a fastball, throw something else, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of it is mind games, a lot of it is just fundamental baseball knowledge. That helps out a lot. If you already have fundamental baseball knowledge and how pitchers throw the baseball, and you watch baseball and the strategy of it, you already have an upper hand with pitching the baseball. So without further ado, let's get into custom practice. I'll show you some things and then we'll go into a live game and I'll take you through what I think. All right, so here we are in custom practice. I chose the Dodgers to use Shohei Ohtani because he throws a sinker, a cutter, a splitter, a fastball, and a slurve. Pretty much the top pitches you're going to be throwing. A slurve is kind of like a slider. It's a little similar. But anyway, slider is probably more common than a slurve, but he doesn't have a slider. So we're just going to use Ohtani because he throws a sinker, which is the most meta pitch in the game right now, which is one of the pitches that you're going to want to get down effectively when playing MLB The Show and pitching the baseball. Now, we're going to go into my settings real quick for pitching. The pitching interface that I use the most is pinpoint. I don't really use analog because I've kind of fallen off of analog. Some people say analog is more accurate. However, it is more accurate. That truth does still stand. But for me personally, I'm able to hit more perfects with pinpoint. So analog is more accurate, but you have to be accurate with it if that makes sense. And it's harder to be super accurate with analog than it is to be with pinpoint. A lot of the top players still use analog. I don't know if you guys know who Magunski is. I was watching his stream the other day. He uses analog. Some other guys still use analog, but a lot of people also use pinpoint. So it's personal preference, what you feel the ball, how you feel personally is what you should use. Whatever you can consistently hit your spots with, use that pitching interface, okay? But I use pinpoint, so most of this tutorial is going to be in pinpoint, and the live at-bats, the live game are going to be in pinpoint. I'll show you a little bit of analog and give you some tips on that, but this is mostly for pinpoint, okay? So I use pinpoint. The pitching ball marker, I use chevron. Now, the chevron is those 3 or 4 yellow lines that we'll show you here in a second that kind of show you where the ball is going to track. I used to use pitch trail, but I like chevron a lot more because it kind of gives you a better idea of how the ball is going to move with regards to the batter. So we use pinpoint and chevron, and then for my camera view for pitching, I use zoom. So I would recommend that you guys either use a zoom or strike zone style view when you pitch the baseball, as opposed to an outfield style camera view, because when I'm using zoom, I'm able to kind of get inside the mind of the hitter when I'm pitching the baseball and see how the ball is breaking from his perspective, and it helps me better understand, okay, I just threw this way, let me throw this other pitch this way because the batter's probably thinking this, you know what I'm saying? So if the batter is thinking A, I'm gonna do B, and it helps me get into the mind of the hitter better when I have the pitching view on zoom or strike zone, you know what I'm saying? So those are the settings for now, and I'm gonna go into practice real quick and show you a couple tips. All right, so before we get into the pinpoint specific tips, I wanna teach you guys what you're looking at when you start to pitch the baseball and MLB The Show. If you're using the same settings as me, what you're looking at is the ball. Obviously, this is where the ball is originally gonna start, when you release it. And since we're throwing a slurve away, it's gonna finish inside that little gray circle if you throw a perfect pitch. Okay, so the ball can be even just barely touching that gray circle technically, and that will be considered a perfect pinpoint. Now, that does suck. It's not gonna be fully inside the circle. It can just be barely touching that little circle, and it is considered a perfect pinpoint. That's how they want the game to be. I don't necessarily agree with that mechanic, but it's just the way it is, so we have to live with. It's a little bit of RNG mixed in. Now, The chevrons are those yellow lines that I was talking about earlier, the 3 or 4 yellow lines there. That shows you where the pitch is going to break. This is a slurve, so it's going to break away from the pitcher's throwing hand. So watch, I'm going to throw the baseball here, and it finished perfectly in the center of that circle there. So I threw a perfect pinpoint and it finished perfectly in the center of that circle. It's not going to finish perfectly in the circle every single time. Let me see if I can hit it again. See, now that wasn't a perfect, the circle didn't even show up. Okay, so that actually is a good thing that we didn't throw a perfect. So when you don't throw a perfect, it bases it on how well you were accurate with the other aspects of your pinpoint. So I was 100% accurate, I believe, on the pattern, but on my downswing on my pinpoint, it was a little off. So it missed the gray circle there, but that gray circle is known as the par. And when you throw a perfect pinpoint, it lands in the par. Now, again, all these pitches break differently. This is a cutter. It's going to break inside away from the hand again. It's not going to break as much as a slider, and it's a little bit quicker than a slider, or a slurve, I should say, but it breaks a little differently. So cutter breaks away, but it breaks on more of a straight plane, like straight across. The ball just like cuts across real quick. Okay. So again, you're starting the pitch is going to look like it's starting out of the zone, but it's actually going to finish in the zone inside that gray circle there. See what I mean? Boom, it finished inside the gray circle. So that's good to like kind of put in your head, like, okay, so when you're facing a batter, this pitch is going to start here, but it's actually going to finish over here. That's how it's breaking. That's how the batter is seeing it. That's also why I'm using zoom and the zoom technique. All right, so now a splitter, same thing, breaks differently. Splitters drop low. Same thing with changeup. They drop like, usually they drop straight down, or maybe the circle change, it drops down at like an angle a little bit. But you can see based on the chevron where it's going to break. Now with a splitter, I don't know if you guys can tell, but like as you move it closer to the bottom of the zone, it breaks even more so. So like if you throw a splitter up here, it's barely going to break. It's going to float and they're going to crush it. You can see that by the indication of just like the one chevron. But here it breaks a little bit further, and then as you move it down here, you can see the chevrons move a little bit further apart, so it breaks a little bit better. You know what I'm saying here? So based on where you throw the pitch, it's kind of like a realistic countermeasure, so that you can't like spam weird pitches up high. Like the splitter's not gonna, you can't throw a splitter up here and then have it break all the way like down to here. Like it's not going to really break at all, because it's not meant to be thrown there. You know what I'm saying? Splitters are meant to be thrown lower in the zone, so they break out of the zone, and that's kind of trying to keep the realism within pitching in this game. Okay, and also as you can see, fastballs, they don't break at all. They're just straight paint basically. They don't break. You just throw them and they go to the spot where the ball shows, right inside that circle there. Okay, so that's just kind of like the basic pitches here. And then sinkers as well. Sinkers kind of break away from the pitcher's hand, but like towards the opposite. So like slurves and sliders usually break towards the pitcher's offhand, and then like sinkers and like sometimes circle changes, they'll break sort of like towards the pitcher's throw hand, but like away from it, if that makes sense. So we'll throw a sinker here just to kind of show you. Wasn't a perfect pinpoint, but you saw how it broke like away from the pitcher in the opposite direction. So knowing these things is kind of key to like knowing how to tunnel your pitches, how to sequence your pitches, and how to use your pitches. So we'll get into some of like pinpoint tips now. Okay, so first tip with pinpoint is watch the whole entire pattern. If you're new anyway, if you don't have it in your brain already, like if you haven't done a ton of reps, if you're newer, watch the pattern. And if you're struggling, if you're in a kind of like a pitching slump, don't rush your pitches, kind of just watch the pattern real quick to get the timing down. So for a fastball, if I'm like not getting my timing correct, I'm gonna watch the whole entire like tutorial pattern real quick. Ready? It's gonna go. So if I'm a boom, boom, boom. Okay, so just like watching that quick pattern, your brain internally is like, okay, that's the timing. I don't know how it works, honestly. It's just your brain works like that. Mine does, at least. So like if I'm struggling with hitting my timing with the pitches and getting perfects, I pause for a second and I watch the pattern, and 9 times out of 10, I pitch so much better on the next pitch. So we'll just throw a fastball here real quick. Boom, boom, boom. And kind of pay attention. Like if you're late by 0.01 seconds, just try to hold off just a split second longer to get that perfect. You know what I'm saying? So we'll throw a sinker here. Sinker is probably the toughest pitch to throw this year, because I think they wanted it to be that way just because of how overpowered it was last year throwing a sinker with pinpoint. So we'll throw it again. We'll watch the pattern. Boom, 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 boom. And with your movement of your analog stick, I do not use the control freak on my pitching stick. Okay, so definitely I would recommend not using one, because with the control freak, it kind of loosens up your stick a little too much. This keeps it kind of like at a steady pace with this, with no control freak. So here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so sinker is still hard to throw. I was only 50% on that. And it's going to be tough to throw. It's going to take some time to get it down for everyone, not just you if you're new to the game. This is for everyone because it's a brand new pinpoint meter for everyone this year. So that was a little bit better. We were 100% accurate, but we were a little bit to the right with our release, so it wasn't a perfect, but it was very, very close to a perfect. Again, we were way off on that one, but it still kind of went where it needed to go because our analog stick was kind of there. So let's throw a cutter real quick. Cutter is so easy to throw usually. I mean, it's a very easy pattern, but like I said, just be steady and smooth with your movements on the stick, okay? So as long as you're steady and smooth and you're watching that pattern and getting an idea of how it works, you will eventually start to pick up those patterns and you will eventually start to pitch well. When pinpoint first came out, I was absolutely garbage. I sucked. I was terrible. The only thing that helped me was repetition. Going offline, playing conquest games, playing whatever, and just repeating the same patterns over and over and over again until I finally got it down. And now I'm a pretty decent pitcher. I wouldn't say I'm perfect all the time. I do get quite a bit of perfect pinpoints, but that's the move for pinpoint. Okay, now we've kind of covered pinpoint. I switched my settings over to analog. We're gonna do a quick tutorial on analog. Basically, all you have to do with analog is pull your right stick down and push it back up towards that little red circle, okay? So as I move the pitch, aim the pitch around with my left stick, you see that circle is moving left to right. That's how you have to aim your stick on the upswing. So I'll just pitch real quick and explain what happens. So we pull down, the meter starts, push up, boom. We aimed it perfectly, but our release was just late. So to get a good release on this, you see that yellow line at that analog spot? When you pull the ball down like this, boom, you throw it up when the ball, that little white line, reaches the yellow line. So to start the meter, you're pulling down on the stick, okay? The ball starts trailing down towards the yellow line. When the white line gets inside the yellow line, you throw your stick back up, okay? So again, you're aiming with left, and then you're using the right stick to start your pitch. And then as you're pushing the right stick back up on the upswing, what you want to do is aim it towards that target, okay? It's pretty finite when it comes to analog pitching. So you can get a good release, aim it to the left. Like, that's the thing that's tough with analog pitching, is it's a very finite, like, to dot, and that's why I use pinpoint, because it's hard to dot sometimes with analog, especially with like cutters and fastballs. Like, for instance, let me throw a cutter real quick. To dot like this cutter and like throw a really, really good pitch, like this cutter inside is a really good pitch because it stays out of the zone for the whole like duration of the pitch until the last second it breaks inside the zone, so you can get a lot of people looking, right? So you can see the ball starts outside of the zone, it's going to finish inside the zone where that little gray circle is. So if we pull back here, it's very hard to throw a pitch like that on analog because you have to get your analog stick all the way over to the left, but without doing it too much. So we pull down here, like I'm trying my hardest to do it and I'm leaving it right over the middle of the plate. This is one reason why I don't use analog right now, just because I found it hard to kind of get my stick all the way to the left. And I'm genuinely trying to do it right now. I'm not just saying like, oh, you should use pinpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, let's try it again. See, like we got it exactly where we wanted it, but it was too far. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm not gonna be able to dot that cutter consistently. I just did it 5 times and I didn't dot a single pitch. With pinpoint, let me just show you real quick. With pinpoint, same pitch here. Cutter, boom, boom, boom. Caught way less of the plate, got it a lot closer to where I wanted it to be, and I still wasn't perfect. Again, that's exactly what we want, okay? So you're getting good releases with analog, but if you're not aiming that stick perfectly, you might as well use pinpoint because you're not going to be getting those finite dot pitches as frequently as you will with pinpoint. All right, so we've gone through kind of like a basic intro to pinpoint and to analog. Now I'm going to show you, like, we're going to pretend in custom practice like this is a live at bat, and I'll kind of take you through some scenarios of what I think when I'm pitching and like how to what's called tunnel the baseball to get the batter you know, confused, to get him on his toes, make him have to react a certain way to the pitch. So like I said, pitching is a mind game. You have to kind of think in the mind of a batter of what they're expecting and do the opposite. That's really what it comes down to. But I'll take you through some tunneling to help you try to fool the batter at the plate, and we'll get into that right now. All right, so basically what pitch tunneling is okay, so for instance, say I'm throwing a lot of fastballs up here, right? Or say actually, we'll do a different thing here. We'll do a different thing here. So say I'm throwing a lot of slurves away, right? I'm throwing a lot of slurves like down and away out of the zone, okay? The batter is thinking, okay, he's throwing a lot of slurves. That was terrible, but it kind of worked. He's throwing a lot of slurves, right? He's not throwing for strikes. He's throwing a lot of slurves. I've swung at a couple of them. We're in like a 2-strike count right now. He's throwing a ton of slurves away. I'm not swinging because I know he's going to try to get me out here with the slurve out of the zone away. Most people would think that because you've kind of established the fact that you're liking to work the slurve away, and he swung at a couple and missed a couple. In that scenario, to tunnel with the slurve, you bring a fastball, right? You come away here with the fastball. He's thinking, oh, he's going to throw a slurve. Fastball, dotted away. Don't even know what hit him. He's like, okay, that was a fastball away. He just threw it for a strike. I just struck out. You know what I'm saying? So tunneling is a big part of pitching. It's a huge part of pitching. Let me take you through another tunneling scenario and a couple of pitches that like you can use to your advantage. For instance, say you're using a fastball inside a lot. Right here, you're throwing it for strikes. Consistently, you're hitting that spot. Or, you know, you're throwing a lot of like fastballs in the zone, like low and away, or like just kind of like low. A good way to tunnel that is, say he's kind of caught up to the fastball. He's like, all right, I'm on this guy now. He's throwing fastballs. He likes to throw fastballs inside. I'm gonna have to be early. I'm gonna have to swing quick and pull the baseball. In that scenario where he's kind of caught onto the fact that you're using fastballs, change up your strategy. Boom. Now he's sitting fastball. He's waiting fastball. He's not going to be expecting a slow splitter that's going to break out of the zone. So you throw a couple fastballs like in this area here. You come with the splitter again that breaks out of the zone. He's early on it. It's not even in the strike zone, and he strikes out. Even if his bat touches the ball, most likely he's going to be really early, foul it off, or ground ball out. You know what I'm saying? Again, another way to do something is fastball away. You're tunneling the fastball again. Up and away, whatever, you're hitting the zone. You're hitting the away zone or the away black with the fastball consistently. He's timed up for the fastball. Then you throw a slow cutter up and away and out of the zone. Boom, okay, it's slower. He's gonna be early on it. He's gonna roll over it, or he's gonna miss it completely. It's just a lot of like mind games like that, you know? It'll make more sense when we do the live at bat. I'm just trying to explain to you, like, from the eyes of a pitcher, the ball looks the same to him until the very last second. So like this fastball coming away like this is gonna look like a slurve at first to him, and that millisecond where he thinks it's a slurve away, like we were talking about earlier, is gonna throw him off tremendously because he's gonna be too late to swing by the time it hits the strike zone. Again, it's not always gonna work. You know, they're gonna catch on to you. You're not gonna always win every battle, but it's a constant battle throughout an entire game as to who can play the better mind game on the mound versus at the plate. And that's why most people love baseball, because like it's a strategy, a deeper strategy than just, oh, guy hit ball go far, boom, home run, yay, exciting, woo. No, it's a strategy, and it matters like where you're pitching and what you're pitching. Again, like just say you're using fastballs, for instance, or whatever, you're using fastballs inside. He's expecting that. You use a sinker and it breaks inside out of the zone and jams him big time like that. That looks exactly like a fastball coming out of the hand until the last second, right? So if you've been throwing fastballs here, boom, he's like, oh my God, he's dying in the black. I gotta turn on this. And then you throw a sinker and it ends up like all the way out here. He's gonna either break his bat or miss it completely. You know what I'm saying? So tunneling is a huge thing. Now, another thing I will say is try to avoid what we call PCI mashers. So that would be like pitching a fastball like right here. These are really easy to hit. Like they can just slam their PCI down when they're hitting right to the ball and crush it. Even like you would think like, oh, let me just pitch in the corner here. Really good idea. Like that right there, that looks like an amazing pitch in real life. In MLB The Show, those pitches get smashed a lot of the times, especially by like less advanced players, because all they do is they just take their PCI, they see it's breaking away and they know it's going to be close, so they know they have to swing, so they just go slam, and they slam their PCI to the corner and it ends up being a perfect home run. So unless you're like trying to play a mind game and catch them off guard with like, say you throw a bunch of slurves out of the zone like I was saying, and then you throw that fastball, that's okay, but just try not to consistently throw a bunch of pitches directly on the corners, because people can just mash their PCI to them and just destroy the baseball. Okay, so we've covered, you know, the basics of pinpoint, basics of analog, whatever you want to use, some tunneling techniques, some timing techniques, how to like play mind games with the hitter. Now we're gonna go into a live event game, and I'm gonna take you through my thought process as I play MLB The Show and as I'm pitching to a batter. All right, so here we are in an event game. We're gonna go through some live at-bats here, live pitching. We have Jacob Mizorowski on the mound. He has no sinker, which kind of sucks, but it's okay. Yeah, he throws heat, so I'm gonna start this guy off with a cutter up and in. A lot of people look for fastballs up and in, but I'm gonna start him off with a slow cutter. He was early. Exactly what I wanted to do. Perfect. Okay, so again, a lot of it comes from baseball knowledge. A lot of it comes from repetitions play of the game. Personally, I knew that a lot of people like to sit up and in fastball because it's hard to catch up to if you're not sitting on it. So people look for that. I threw that cutter up and in to trick this guy. He was early on it. Easy first out, okay? Now, let's go slow off speed again because it seems like he's hitting or sitting fastball. Slider away. That was a good eye on his part. Now, let's go fastball there to tunnel it. Not where I wanted it to go, but he was still late on it, okay? So up and away fastball. See how he works it. Missed our spot again. It's okay. Cutter inside here. Slow cutter. Break it inside the plate. Really good. See that right there? He was late on that because the cutter looks like it's going to be out of the zone until the last second. It cuts inside the zone, and he was late on it. He realized it would be a strike at the last second. Now, circle change. Low. Get this low. Great take on his part. Great take on his part. We're going to throw a slider. See if he's early. We're going to leave us in the zone. And he completely misses it. W. Okay, so we dropped his PCI there. We got him. His timing seems to be off. He was very late. He probably was expecting that to break out of the zone. It broke in the zone. It works out for us. 2 outs. Now, we're going to come again. Cutter up and in. See if he's still early. Yep, he thinks fastball. He thinks it's going to be in the zone. It cuts out of the zone to the last second. Now, fastball inside. He was late on that cutter. Let's throw a fastball now. Great dot. He was late on the fastball like we expected, and Montgomery's there. Easy 1, 2, 3 inning. It's easy as that, guys. Just know how batters operate. When you're at the plate, get inside the mind of the batter as the pitcher, okay? I knew how he was probably going to operate. I kind of guessed to start the game out, and it worked out in my favor. It doesn't always work out in your favor. Sometimes people are just better than you, and you just have to accept that. But I'll catch you guys in the very next inning, and we'll take you through some more. Oh, okay, never mind. He quit. All right, well, hopefully those live at-bats were good enough for you. It's pretty much as simple as that, though, to be honest with you. Tunneling pitches, throwing fastballs, cutters, changing up speeds. Like I said, you saw it right there. I threw that cutter up and in first at bat. What was he? He was early because I know that batters like to sit up and in on fastballs. So it's going to cut inside out of the plate. It's probably going to jam him. You're probably going to get an easy out. That works a lot of the times. Just different things that come through repetition and through knowing how baseball works and through knowing how hitters like to hit the baseball. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. And if you guys don't mind, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment down below of what kind of content you would like to see on the channel. I got some ideas cooking up. I got some things cooking up, and I hope this helps you out and helps you win more ranked games as you continue your career in MLB The Show 24. And I will see you guys in the next video.